And a happy good lunchtime. How is lunch? Great? All right. Well, I am thrilled to be here with you and to reconnect with Lane. And I have built my company, who's me, myself, and I'm kind of busy, through relationships. How about you? When you stop and think about it, everything in your personal and really in your professional life revolves around relationships, doesn't it? So no matter COVID, non-COVID, we're not talking about COVID today. We're going to talk about positive things. And I want you to take back some fresh ideas. No matter how long you've been doing what you're doing, there's always a way to improve, true or false. And I encourage you all to be a lifelong learner. I learn every single day. And if I don't, then shame on me. I learn things from people that I would want to do and implement in my journey, and also learn things from people that I would go like, OMG, I don't think I would ever make someone feel that way. Because no matter what you do, it's all about how you make the person in front of you feel. And I want you to keep that in mind. When you're with that person, be with that person. Don't be looking across the way or thinking about all the different things you've got to do. And if you want to build your business, that's the very best way to build it. It's just one person at a time. So I hope that you'll keep, I'm going to share little nuggets. I call them nuggets, little tidbits that are not in the presentation today, just to give you some food for thought. But thank you for attending this show. This workshop. I'm very excited again to be back in the great state of Louisiana. It's one of my favorite states, and to be welcomed back in the hospitality I received at breakfast this morning with these two wonderful ladies on the front here was immeasurable. So let's all be a hero today, all right? Okay, how would you rate your customer's experience? And I don't want you to think about customer service. I want you to think about the customer experience. And if you think about the alphabet, there is a lot of letters between A and Z, right? So sometimes your customer has different memories of different experiences that they have along that journey. So how would you rate? Are you average? How boring is average? Don't ever be beige or boring, you know? Is it inconsistent? Or are you on it every day? You say lights, camera. One of my props is missing. Okay. Lights, camera, action. We're open for business. And we're so glad you had a choice of where you went today. And we're so glad that you chose us. I borrowed that from Waffle House one time when I was sitting at the bar ordering my cheese eggs and my extra crispy hash browns and my whole wheat toast to try to be a little bit more nutritious. So they had a sign up there and it merely said, you had a choice, thank you for choosing Waffle House. So your visitors have a choice. So don't ever underestimate the power of that one-on-one connection. And we want to pump it up today by not going from average or inconsistent to wow. And this worked during the, okay, thank you. So we've all been through a journey this past year. So what have we learned from that journey? And how full is your wild tank? Sometimes you feel like you just can't give another smile, or you can't open another door, or you can't make somebody feel at home. Well, I want you to remember this. It's never about us. It's always about how you make that person coming into your circle, how you make them feel. Do you stand out and deliver consistently? Because that's the key. And if you'll write that word down anywhere, being consistent is everything. I brought a couple of keys with me today on the plane. I'm the prop queen. And this is a tough key to keep in the lock. How are you consistent every time your lights, action, camera, every time you're open? Are you consistent, or does it depend upon who's working that day? I've heard that. I've heard people say that. Well, if she doesn't show up, it's going to be a good day. but we want a team around us that wants to be there and wants to do what we are fortunate to do, and that's to make someone's day. And then this is another tough key to keep in the lock, and it's just how committed are you? How committed are you to make things happen for that person that particular day? A meaningful definition of wow is a top of mind experience. You know, I had such a great time in your town that I want to go back and tell others about it. Make me become an ambassador. Make me become a cheerleader for your area. But it's all in how you're making me feel that particular time that we're engaged. And it's one I want to repeat again. I don't want to just travel there one time. I want to go back and make sure I stop there again, because they made me and my family feel so special. Not just like a normal experience, but a wow experience. It's all about people. I think we learned a lot from our speaker this morning. And customers expect ownership. There's nothing in the world worse than when someone says, I don't know that, I'm going to have to call and get permission. So never put people on the front line in what Rita calls handcuffs. You put them up there to deal with people, but yet they have to call you to get permission for whatever it is that they're able to do. So make sure you equip your people with confidence and competence. And every time you see that happening on your team, don't wait till the next staff meeting. Go up to that person later and say, I saw how you engaged with that challenging visitor. And you know, you scored a home run. Because if you're not excited about the engagement part, your team members won't be either. So dispense acknowledgement, recognition, and small doses, because it has big dividends. Recovery creates conversation. I stopped in, I had a flat tire, but lo and behold, those people got on the phone. They found someone to come and help me, whether it's AAA or whatever. And man, of all the places I had to break down, I'm glad it was there, because those people really cared. I always tell employers this in my workshops. If you don't empower your people to make good decisions, they'll be reluctant to make any decision at all. And there's two things it's very challenging for Rita to teach. Number one is to be nice. You have to decide you want to be a nice person. And that may sound trivial, but it's really not. Because I've met some people with the name badges. They've got these big signs, director of first impressions. And they're not nice people. You can see it in their body language. You can see it in their tone of voice. And you can see how they're apathetic or indifferent. 68% of business is lost because they have people wearing the name badge, wearing the logo, that are apathetic and indifferent. They don't give a flip or a flop. So the second thing that's very challenging to teach anyone is to care. You have to decide, I care about what I'm doing. Yes, I'm getting a paycheck. However, I care about how the restrooms look. I care about how the trash cans look. I care about the landscaping, because everything is forming some kind of impression to the people once they open the door and step into your parking lot. I call it the visitor walk, and I invite you to do this as a training exercise for your team. Buy some crazy glasses, doesn't matter, go to the dollar store, whatever. Put glasses on your team and say, okay, we're gonna walk like the customer is walking. And I want you to make some notes about what you see. Does the door need Windexing? Are there cobwebs? Does the landscaping look like it could use a little polish? And then you get your whole team involved with what it should really look like for the customer that's coming your way. Instead of you always trying to decide how to improve things, you get your whole team involved, and that's the secret. Does non-caring create conversation? Have you ever walked into a store and or a business and you didn't feel like the people who were there wanted to be there? Or somebody speaks to you and like the lady did to me the other day, she said, "Hi, welcome." I said, "Well, I would speak to you if I could see you." She said, "Well, I'm down here stocking shelves." And I realize people's expectations now, businesses, they're expecting their employees to do more than ever before. Stock the shelf, but wait on the customer. Always remember this, I hope you'll write it down. People first, your task is always second. You could always go back to stocking, replenishing brochures, whatever it is, but make sure that person that walks through that door feels like you genuinely care that they took the time to walk in to begin with. 92.4% of experiences were related to a person or person's actions or behavior. Service failure is a significant breeding ground for wild experiences. So make sure it doesn't creep into your lobby. We're going to play this short video. And while you're watching it, I want you to jot down some key words that you hear from this video clip. I bought my Lexus used from Lexus of South Atlanta, on the other side of Atlanta. And I no more than got back home and I got the video from the big guy, from the general manager. Let's jot down a few words that you hear him say to make me feel like I made a good purchase with his company.
Congratulations on your new luxury vehicle. I'm Kevin Deutsch, General Manager of Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. I want to personally thank you for choosing us as your luxury dealership. It is imperative to everyone here at Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, especially myself, that you had a truly exceptional experience. Now that you've made the decision to drive and own a luxury vehicle from Butler Lexus, we look forward to continue to grow our relationship through our award-winning service department. We understand that our work has just begun in delivering a true Lexus experience. Our partners at Lexus will be sending you a survey concerning your purchase experience. Our goal is to provide the best luxury experience for every customer every time. If for any reason we did not exceed your expectations, please reach out to me so I can address your concerns. Your complete satisfaction is goal one at Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. On behalf of the Butler Automotive Group and the 90 families that make up Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, thank you for choosing us.
What are some of the key words that you heard him as a general manager of a Lexus dealership say that resonated with you? Satisfaction? Best experience. What else? That was my biggest takeaway. Every customer, not every now and then, not according to how I feel that day, but every customer every time. What else did you hear? Personal, thank you. Right. The relationships just started. Yeah. So when you have a service need, I said, I travel a lot. If I break down on the side of the road, he said, if you can't get AAA, since you're a member, we'll come and get you. And you know what? I believed him. You've got to use language that make people feel like you genuinely care about them coming into your area. Not that it's just like, if they don't come, somebody else will come behind them. He used the word a lot, exceptional. Exceptional is a wow experience. It's not just an average or a ho-hum. I might remember it, I might think about it, but it's something that makes you feel like, man, I made a good purchase by going to that dealership. Wowing customers is an attitude. People say, would you like to meet my customer service department? I said, no, I'd like to meet the people who make up your customer service. So it's not a department. It's got to be a culture. It's got to be a philosophy. It's got to be a way of life. How many of you have staff meetings? Okay. At every staff meeting, there should be a standing agenda item. Give me an example of a service wow that you created this week or this month or that happened to you. Was it a white glove service? Was it a silver platter service? Or was it just a service? Make service a part of your standing item on every single agenda. Did something go south this week? Let's talk about that so we can be more proactive the next time. That way, again, it's inclusion. You get everybody on your team thinking like you want them to think and like you're role playing that they should think. And remember, wowing customers, it's not always a surprise. You're really thinking about it. How can I bump it up a notch? How can I tweak it? How can I fine tune it? It's planned, it's executed, and a forethought. Does a great experience pop? Man, I went in for this and I got that. I was not expecting that. Does it sparkle? Does it make you grin? Is it grand or mundane? Or is it wow? Every welcome center you go in to visit Florida, guess what they serve? The ones on the interstate. Orange juice, what else? David Dodd runs all the Visit Florida Welcome Centers, and the ones on the interstate only. They not only serve orange juice, they serve grapefruit juice in addition to orange juice. Why do you think they serve two different juices when one would be so much easier to serve? Exactly, Kristen, right? Not everyone likes orange juice. And they're showcasing, we raise oranges and we also raise grapefruits. But if you write this down too, every customer wants something different. And you may not have 3 or 4 choices, but give them a couple of choices. And if it's something you can't do, never say, well, our guidelines, our policies and procedures won't let us do that. Here's what you say, sir, ma'am, because good manners are always in style and they always work. And they always separate a professional from someone who really doesn't care. Sir, for your safety, for your protection, we can do this or we can do that. Which one would you prefer? If you'll write down another word, it's called us. Let's us discuss this, because that's an inclusive word to make people feel like you're not telling them, but you're including them in that decision. Okay. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. That differentiates you. Now, Georgia, which I've lived in that state for many years, we used to serve at the welcome centers Coca-Cola. Why? Because the headquarters is in Atlanta, right? So now we have not served Coke in years. I mean, years. And guess what? People still come in because we planted a seed that's no longer growing. We can't offer that anymore, but they still remember, gosh, I used to serve the little sample cups of Coke. And that resonated with people. When I ran the visitor center in Valdosta, Georgia, which I was the first director, it's so nice to be the first, isn't it? Nobody can say, you're not doing it like Lane did it. You're not doing it like Tina did it. Nobody can compare you. And we were the last stop before people went into Florida. And I knew, Kyler, right? They were going to see the mouse. So my job was to keep them on this side of the line before they crossed over to the Sunshine State. So we had peach stickers, Valdosta for peach sake. We had peanuts. I had peach potpourri. I had peach candy. I peached them to death because I knew where they were going, but I had to find something to connect with them. And every time I would give out the bag of peanuts, it'd say, are these Jimmy Cotta peanuts? I said, of course they are. He wanted you to have them, and so do we. Because people know Georgia by its products and its president. So I love the fact that you're using coffee that's relative to your area of the state, because I guarantee you they're going to want to go buy some before they leave because of the experience they had with you. People connect with people. They don't connect with maps. They don't connect with brochures. They don't connect with kiosks. People connect with people. And if you want to build your business, that's the best way to build it. Service is not a list of off-the-shelf solutions. It's a constant process of ongoing discovery. If you're still doing what you did a year or two ago, then shame on you, because you're going to get stale, you're going to get boring, you're going to get complacent. So get your whole team involved and say, we've always done it like this. What could we do a little bit differently? Nothing excites me more than to go into a welcome center and people not only engage you and they say welcome and they mean it when they say it, but they get out from their desk area and they come over, and I know it's a little more challenging now. They don't point to where the brochure or the map is. They go and get it for me. And if you could just tell a small little story, the Cliff Note version, not the 500-page story that some people will tell you. Have you ever asked somebody how they were doing and you wish you hadn't? It's like, oh my goodness, I won't ask that person twice again. Just share a little. I have been to Baton Rouge, and can I share with you some of my favorite places to eat? And we just saw a great video clip about dining in gas stations, and I look for them too. There's one in Pigeon Forge that I like to go to because they have the best burger. Shop. People want to shop and experience the restaurants of the culture of that area. Please don't send people to a fast food chain that they can dine at anywhere. And also a great thing to do is to know which businesses are open on which days. And right now with everything going on, that fluctuates depending upon how many people they get to show up for work, depending upon if they can get the food in. Delivery has been an issue. So say, well, let me stop right now and find out to make sure they're open and if they're accepting reservations. Don't be the 1 miler. How boring is that? Go the extra mile. Stop right then. Pick up the phone in front of that person and they're going like, wow, I wasn't expecting this kind of service. To be of real service, you must be willing to constantly discover what the customer wants or needs and then provide it, because it's not a one size fits all. I call it the platinum rule instead of the golden rule. The golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated. But in today's world, we're going to bump it up a notch and call it the platinum rule. Find out what that person wants, and the best way to find out is to ask questions. Are you interested in history? Are you interested in shopping? Are you interested in hiking, recreational activities? Share with us what you're interested in, because I guarantee you our community will want to send you to the place that is of most comfort to you. Instead of just saying, well, we're full of history. Well, what does that mean? You got to put some oomph. You got to put some excitement in transferring that information to the person in front of you. Don't try to fit your customers into what they want. Ask them, and trust me, they will tell you. People, don't wait for an 800 number or for them to go on Yelp or TripAdvisor. They're already there. So, ma'am, sir, how was your experience today? Is there something that you feel like we could do a little bit better or a little bit differently? When you ask someone what they think and how they feel, it makes them feel like $1 million. And it also shows that you care. Remember, can't teach you to be nice. I can't teach you to care. You have to make those decisions on your own. Okay, get this little video. Who's ever been to an Apple store? Went to one in Jacksonville a while back, Jacksonville, Florida. And I was floored by how on top of it they were with my experience and my challenge of my phone, and how they repaired it in no time, and how I walked out of there so glad that I walked in. Stephen Covey has a great philosophy in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read that book, or if it's in your library, get it out and dust it off, because it's still so applicable today. Begin with the end in mind. So you've got to start with your team and say, okay, they're walking through the door. How are we going to greet people? What is our send off when they walk out the door? If they're loaded down with 3 or 4 children and all kinds of promotional material about your area, go open the door for them. I used to say, oh, you can't, okay. I used to tell my mother, I said, you know, it's really irritating when you open the door for someone and they just walk through and don't say anything. Who's ever felt like that? Let's be real. I got the very idea. And here's what my mom taught me, and I want to share it with you. Rita, you hold the door open for people because it's the right thing to do. Don't hold the door open for people expecting anything in return. And that I've kept that with me. And my grandmother taught me something I'd like to share with you too, because I bet your grandparents taught you a lot as well. She said, Rita, when you speak to people, you speak to them with honey. You don't speak to them with vinegar. And your facial expressions should project your friendliness at all times, even if you don't feel well at the time. Let me share this with you since the video's not going to function. That's okay. You can Google that later. Face-to-face is your most powerful connection with people because they're looking at your facial expressions. They're looking at your eyes. And yes, you can smile through a mask. You certainly can. A server today at breakfast, she walked by and she's a very, very congenial, nice person and so accommodating. And I could see that she was smiling behind that mask. And I made a point to speak to her. Acknowledge people when they're really putting that extra effort. 55% is your body language. It's what you don't say. So have an open stance. Don't cross your arms. And why do we cross our arms anyway, ladies? We're cold. What else? I always say sometimes we don't know what else to do with them.
Yes.
So we just cross them. But you can cross your arms as long as you have a pleasant look on your face. It's okay. It's okay. No chewing gum, no eating in front of the customer. There's just some etiquette things that I think are being lost by the wayside because people are using excuses now versus remembering the right thing to do at the right time. And 38% is your tone. How you say what you say. How you say what you say is 5 times more important than the words that you use. You can say good morning and mean it, or you can say good morning. And when people do that, good morning, I go like, well, you might want to tell your face because your face is not projecting that it is a good morning. All right, let's flip for a moment. We're on the telephone. They can't see that we are nice, that we are friendly, that we mean it, that we get it, that we're welcoming, that we're inviting. So 86% is your tone. You got to have some energy. You ever call and, good afternoon, Baton Rouge. Can we help you? No, your voice sounds like you might need some help. Make sure you have the right person answering your phone. Make sure you have the right person doing your voicemail recording if you use voicemail. Even if you have to get somebody that maybe doesn't work there to do it for you. Lane can hook you up with all kinds of resources. She would do it for you. And 14% of your words. I'm a major proponent of not scripting, but using service language in a service environment. Not can I help you? I'm fixing to get around to that. I have to watch myself with fixing. Use service language. There's just a better way to say things. Now, every time I go to Chick-fil-A, I know it's Chick-fil-A, but I'm trying to keep you awake. What do they always say? It's my pleasure. But if you watch them, and I do, I'm a major people watcher. their facial expressions reflect it's my pleasure. And I'm not saying copy Chick-fil-A. I'm saying use language that makes people feel like they might be there when they ask you something. Absolutely, positively, we can do that. How else can we help you? There are different words that are more comfortable for you. So don't ever be a robot. Have you ever gone into a business and you felt like the people that worked there were robots? They were just saying the same old, same old. They never made you feel connected. All right, we're going to skip that video. No worries. Address the hidden needs. Their issues and problems customers face, but they didn't even know they existed. Years ago, when I started my company, they had just come out with stylist. Remember what a stylist is? You need one, and I know you need one. And my friends over here, I'm not supposed to go across this line, but for later. Lane, you know it's hard for me. So I thought, well, what a great something to invent and give out at my workshops, because it was brand new. People don't even probably use them anymore. But what are some things that you can implement, that you can do, that maybe you hadn't thought of before, that would be of service to your guest? And I'll show you a few more ideas in just a moment. You got to get there first. You got to ask the tough questions. Where are your roadblocks? This is my service chain, and every now and then you got to break down in your chain. You got a kink in it, you got a knot in it. So what are some reoccurring things that happen that you really haven't stepped back away from and got your team together to collaborate on how to improve it or how to make it better? Because you've got them. You know you do. We all do. What is frustrating? If you don't make it easy for me to do business with you, chances are I might not do it twice. I've got enough obstacles in my world as you do, so don't create another one. Make it easy to do business with you, and I'll do more of it. I'm a mystery shopper. In fact, I'll be going to St. Joe Island in Florida the first week of November to do mystery shopping. And I'll look like a tourist. I'll ask tourist questions. I'll take pics of their restroom, of their landscaping. I'll look at their website. I will call them on the phone, and I'll do this whole recap report that I will give back to them, because they want somebody from an objective viewpoint to come in and really sense how visitors feel when they come to their beautiful area. You can be that mystery shopper. Get your team to go to other businesses, other welcome centers. It doesn't have to be a welcome center. It doesn't have to be where you comparable to where you work. Just say, I want y'all over the weekend to go to 2 or 3 different places and come back and tell me the good and the bad, and if there's any ugly, so we can talk about it. It really does work. What's frustrating? Where are the hassles? Are you cultivating not short-term, but long-term relationships? If you had a good time today, we sure would appreciate you telling your friends and family. And we just let them be your cheerleader. Let them be your ambassadors. So seek to learn what's wrong, difficult, or missing. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. First, who are your customers? There's a profile. Family members want something that the individual business person does not. So you know your customer base. So create what they're typically looking for and asking for, and then share that with your team. If I'm looking, if I come in your center and I'm looking at my watch, what am I telling you? I don't want you to ask me about the weather. I don't want you to ask me where I'm from. I just kind of want to get a move on. So you got to be able to read people, have a little psychology. Do you agree? Now, some people want to come in with the backpack on and camp out. They're lonely. I know these people. And I never shortchange them. because you might be the only person. A lady kept going to the bank once a month to cash her Social Security check. And the banker said, and she was dressed to the nines, like she was going to church. She had her hat on and she had her pocketbook. Every month, the teller could look like clockwork. Here she would come. And she said, ma'am, you know you can bank online. She said, oh, honey, you're my best friend. I get to come and see you once a month. You never know what people are dealing with. So make that opportunity to be a partner to them, to open the door for them, to go the extra mile for them. When somebody said that recently, oh, you open the door for people, I said, it's a privilege and a pleasure. It's not a job. It's an opportunity for me to connect. You've got internal customers and external. Okay, let's see a quick raise of hands. Who's the most important? If you think the external customer is the most important, raise your hand. If you think the internal customer is the most important, raise your hand. Why is the internal customer the most important? Kristen? They need more attention. What else? Absolutely. If you don't take good care of your people, guess what? And you treat them like they're a dime a dozen, they're replaceable, like they're minimum wage, that's exactly how they will respond to your visitors. This is the missing link that, in Rita's opinion only, most businesses don't get. They think the person who's calling or coming in from the outside is the most important customer. No, it's your people who deliver what the person is coming in there to receive. And if you don't tell me I'm doing a good job every now and then, guess what? I might just quit doing it, because I don't think people notice that I pick up trash in the parking lot, that I scrub the toilet when it needs scrubbing. Make your own people feel like they are the team that you are proud to lead, that they work with you, not for you. Customer experience is the next competitive battleground. It's where businesses are won or lost. It's the experience. Remember, not just the customer service, which is average and ho-hum. And word of mouth, I don't care what people say, how many statistics they throw at you, this is still the biggest advertisement of all. Man, you got to stop there. They didn't give me just a cup of coffee. They gave me a whole experience. Every time I go into a restaurant or I have a good service experience, all of you got one of my cards, I hope. Did you? I will pull this out and leave it with my check. Or I will look at the server and I'll say, could I see your manager? What do you think the server does when I ask that question? Thank you. They panic. Oh, did I do something wrong? I said, no, I came in here just to eat, but I ended up having a dining experience. So she'll go and get her manager, whether it's him or her, and I'll say, I just want you to know that Kristen made my dining experience so wonderful this evening. I came in here just for a quick bite and she kept my tea glass filled. I asked her for a lemon. She brought me a whole lemon tree. She has got it going on. What an asset she is to your business. And you can see that manager just get real tall and stately. Well, that's the only kind of people I hire, you know, whatever. But I can see Kristen growing in front of me. If you want to build good service in your town, USA, that's the best way to start, is for you to start giving it and acknowledging it to people when you receive it. I give these cards out all the time, not just to build my business, but to let people know that they're doing a good job for their business. It doesn't have to be a card. It can just be a kind word. Love it. Awesome. Yeah. And Lane is a prime example. If you write this acronym down, CRO. CRO. I am a Chief Recruitment Officer. You don't have to be in HR. You don't have to have HR on your badge. But I'm also a CRO in the sense that I'm a Chief Retention Officer. I want to keep the good people I have because they might leave the next day because they don't feel valued for 50 cents more up the road. Are good people hard to find? And I'm really, really discouraged when employers say, the work ethic isn't what it used to be. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, please and thank you. You create an environment where people want to show up for work. They want to stay with you. They feel acknowledged. They feel appreciated. Otherwise, they will leave you. And it's hard to find good talent now. But if you don't start out with hiring the right people up front, even if you go shorthanded for a while, and then you coach them and teach them, if you represent me, here are the expectations. This is how we answer the phone. This is how we greet people. This is the send-off. This is how we make people feel when they're walking out the door. If you don't set the parameters and the expectations, they're more likely to bring some undesirable habits to your workplace because you haven't told them anything different. Setting expectations and holding people accountable is huge. That's a whole seminar in itself. So don't just do the trivial things that are comfortable for you to do. Really break those barriers down and do some things that are really should be a priority. You've got to start with the customer experience and work back towards the technology, not the other way around. I'm a major Steve Jobs quote person also. Keep the main thing the main thing. Why are you in business? You tell me. Why are you in business? What do you do? What's your job? Promote Louisiana tourism. Does every person that calls on the phone, every person that walks in, did they count? Remember that. Don't make people feel like next, like the bank teller that used to be on Friday when the line was backed up. Next, there's nobody's name is next. How may I serve the next person in line? But you got to look at me like you mean it. All right. How do you pronounce that word? I know how I pronounce it. How do you pronounce it? I love that Louisiana term. I've worked in Mobile, Alabama quite a bit, and I've done a program just on Lanyap. Well, I had somebody that knocked on my door yesterday, and I was taking a little siesta, but that's all right. And they brought me this little gift from the Louisiana Travel Association and also from the Roosevelt Hotel. I was not expecting this. I wanted, what's that? I did too. Yeah, I was with a note, a personal note. And I am the queen of note writing. An email is nothing like receiving a personal note. It doesn't have to be long. How many of you have postcards? I'm a big postcard person. Just, what's that? Ask for postcards. Could we make that happen? And here's a kicker too. Don't just have postcards, have postcard stamps. Hello? Make it easy for them. Don't have to send them to the post office to get a stamp. Make it easy. They go like, oh my gosh, you sell stamps too? They'll buy them because they don't have to go somewhere else to buy one. You've got to think like the customer, just like Steve Jobs reminded us. All right, I stayed at a hotel in Albany, Georgia. It's not Albany, it's Albany, 3 syllables. I get corrected. So the guy said, "You're headed back to South Georgia?" I said, "I am." He said, "Can you just give me a few minutes?" He went out there and washed it. It was love bug season. Y'all know love bugs. Why they call them that, we do not know, because they are not very nice. So he went out there and scrubbed my windshield. Did I ask him? No. He appreciated my to-go business, and he thought, what could I do? Because she's been nice. Oh my gosh, what happened to just being nice to people? You don't have to agree with them, but you can always be nice. I stay at the Ramsey Hotel when I work in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It used to be a Holiday Inn. Now it's the Ramsey. They know that I'm the pillow queen. Every time I go, I've got 6 or 9 pillows in my bed because I built a fort. I got several behind my head. I got one for this arm, one for that arm. And they're not a 5-star hotel. Every time I go there, they have different staff, but they still remember that I like a lot of pillows. OMG. I love that about them. You don't have to be a Ritz-Carlton. You don't have to be a Roosevelt. You don't have to be a Marriott. You just have to think differently, like we learned this morning from our speaker, and try something that's kind of like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. I expect hand sanitizer. I expect clean restrooms. But what can you offer that I'm not expecting? That's how you create a wow memory. Yes.
Come to my door last night and offered to turn down my bed and brought me extra water and chocolate.
Yep. Say that to them louder, would you?
So one of the cleaned the room, came to my door last night and offered to turn down my bed and brought me extra water and chocolate.
You weren't expecting that, were you? You got what? I love it. I'm not a Starbucks fan. That's fine. A lot of people are. I don't want to pay that much money for a good cup of coffee. That's just my preference. But in where I used to live, we had Eliano's. And I would go there and, you know, I always gave him a tip, but I always gave him a smile. And he said, "Rita, you want your usual?" I said, "I do." I said, "Put extra whipped cream on it this time." He said, "You got it." So the last time I went before I moved, he put my latte on a silver platter. And I still get chilled, but I said, "Take it back." He said, "What?" I said, "I want to take a picture of you." Handed it to me, you know. "I'm going to take you on the road with me." Are your visitors getting silver platter service? Or are they just getting service? It's not really, it's mundane, not really something they want to talk about to tell others. I love stopping at welcome centers when I do mystery shopping. It is amazing the experiences that I receive. The unexpected moments of wow, every phone call, every touch point, the parking lot, I mentioned the hello, the goodbye, the packaging. Are you turning crisis into opportunities? We learned about that this morning. Reviews are based on my expectation of what I receive and then my actual experience. They go together like a hand in a glove. Who has had a kind of a rough year? You know, sometimes we have to be like that slinky. We have to bend, we have to flex, we have to adapt. The world's not perfect, but in our own space and time, it can be. And it always starts with your mindset, as we learned this morning. Everything the speaker said, I was just like, yes. It all starts up here, because there are as many hours in a bad day as there are in a good day. I'm going to go for it. Life is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. So what are you doing to fill your cup and to avoid people who are always trying to punch holes in your cup? Y'all know the energy vampires? You're starting out with just Gonna be a great day. When you ask that person how they're doing and they want to poke holes in your cup, their life is worse than a soap opera. Avoid energy vampires. Ladies and gentlemen, you only have so much energy every day. So make sure you're expending it with people who make your cup overflow. Not people who are always negative Nancy, negative Ned, drama. You don't have to attend every performance you're invited to. Too many drama people in the world that aren't on stage. You agree?
And I asked how she was, and she tells me about a terrible marriage. She lives with a monster and over. And after she tells me this long story, and I said, I really need to find somebody.
That's a compliment and a curse too.
She tells me the story, it was so sad. I was not less than 2 hours late. A woman comes in who travels all over the world bringing joy. She gets in a car and has a bed in the back. And she, after when I shared what happened with this lady, and one day I got to do it. I got this woman, world was hard. This woman said her life is the best thing she ever had. And she was public. This is not cold. I'm speaking of it. But you know, it's amazing what a drain and then she started back up.
Yeah.
So, but I do get people who come in and just
Yeah.
their lives are horrible. And I'm gonna
Here's some Kleenex. That's a safe giveaway, isn't it? When people say, she called me and she kept me on the phone 30 minutes, I said, that's your fault. That's not their fault. When they come up for air, and eventually they will, you got to dive in. Ma'am, I truly care about your plight. I appreciate your confidence in me to share it with me. However, I really need to get on with some responsibilities that I have, but you have a safe journey. You got to get in there because you're not a therapist, but it tells me a lot about you and I don't know you, that she felt comfortable enough to share. So there's a way to be genuine and genuinely concerned, but then don't let them monopolize your time, because you do have other things and other people are probably listening. And it's not a good atmosphere for the people who are coming in there, just want to get in there, get some information and get out. So I haven't answered your question, but just remember, they will come up for air and you have to control it. Good. Hope you'll have a look. Yeah. Let me get that brochure you wanted and you can be on your way. You know, you've got to say it in such a way they don't even know you're doing it, you know? So it's good to have that person in the back. I've been there. Worked at a hotel and the front desk, and the guy just came in one morning. I was in the best mood. And he chewed me up and spit me back out and said he'd been overcharged for his room. And I said, well, sir, is this your folio where you signed the room rate last night when you checked? Yes. I said, I threw him a curveball. How many of y'all believe in curveballs? Very good. I said, did you enjoy breakfast this morning? I knew he did. He went through the line 3 times. It's amazing to watch people that go to buffets. They don't have as many anymore as they used to. And that's probably not a bad thing. And he said, well, yes, I did. I said, well, we're good. We're kind of like JW Marriott. He said, if you can't serve the cold food cold and you can't serve the hot food hot, then you can't create a dining experience. And I want to make sure, even though we're not a Marriott, that you had a dining experience. Well, I guess I did. You know, so he walks off. A few minutes later, Him and his wife drive up under the canopy and he gets out again. And I'm thinking, this is going to be round 2. Yeah. I thought about asking for my manager. I thought, no, there's a learning lesson, teachable moment here for me. I said, sir, did you forget something? He said, well, my wife said she heard how I talked to you this morning. And if I wanted to ride back to Florida with her, I better come in here and apologize to you. True story. I can't make my stories up, can I, Lane? And I wanted to go, I love her. I don't know his wife, but I love her. She's my new best friend. I said, sir, the most important thing is that you had a comfortable stay with us and you have a safe trip back to Florida. Next time you're coming through, I hope you'll think about us again. And I hope he doesn't think about us again. It's like Mother Teresa. Never let a person enter your circle without making them happier and feel better having been in your circle. It's so important how I could gloat later and roll my eyes later, but not in front of him. Let them leave saving face. Because sometimes, I'll be honest, people just don't care and they don't know better. You don't know what you don't know. All right, I need to move it up here. The little things in JCPenney, Jacques Pennier's, I used to call him, it's the service we're not obliged to give that people value the most. I wasn't expecting them to offer me this or to open the door for me. It's the little things. In Wendy's, a guy walks out with an umbrella, an employee, because the gentleman was struggling with his walker and it was raining. Can you do this? Will you do this? Will that be a front of mind thing for you to think about in the future? Chick-fil-A, they need to run all the COVID lines, all the vaccine lines, don't they? They're always pleasant. They're always out there. They take your order, and by the time you get around to pay, I never have to check my order. It's always right. But other fast foods, I'm not so sure. I've only been to one restaurant in my lifetime in Florida. They brought my check. The ambiance was very dark, very hard to read. And they had a light clipped onto the pad. And that may seem so trivial. I still have good eyesight. I'm very blessed. But for them to think about, we've got a dark atmosphere here, but here's a little light for you to leave me a better tip, maybe. And I did. We wildly underestimate the power of the tiniest personal touch. That's the secret of wow. It's not the big things that one big thing you do for one customer. It's a series of little things that you do consistently for all your guests that come in to your being, to your office. Do what you do so well that people can't resist telling others about you. Got to stop there. Not only did they have good coffee, it was hot. And they had different things, you know, they had the sweet and low, and they had the regular sugar, and they had the creamer. It's not the big things. You don't have to be Disney. You don't have to be the Ritz-Carlton to borrow some of those same philosophies that will work in your industry. Customer needs have an unsettling way of not staying satisfied for very long. So what's needed on time with value? I want you to walk, when you leave here, walk on the WOW side. Walk on the WOW, W-O-W side. What's needed on time with value? Mistakes are the portals of discovery. How many attempts did Edison make before inventing the light bulb? I think I just gave that away. They said, man, you failed 10,000 times. He said, no. I found 9,999 times that wouldn't work. That's the power of optimism. That's the power of thinking beyond what you came in here to think of today. Mistakes can be memorable lessons. Correct in a way the customer said, man, that happened, but golly, the way they did their service recovery was unreal. Role play with your team, that's a great, great tip. Role play how not to do it and role play how to do it. Role play negative service language with role playing positive service language. Mistakes happen. The secret to achieving memorable service is not in, you won't ever eliminate or avoid them. Welcome them and become the solution. I'm trying to think of the name of the person that quoted this, but it's so true. And it kind of reminded me of our speaker this morning. He said, opportunities sometimes are camouflage. They look like work clothes, and you don't want to go there. They're not work clothes. They are opportunities for you to expand your horizon and your vision for your people. Things seen in touch. Look at your website, look at your communication material, your environment, your appearance, your human interactions. Impressions are formed by our senses, what people see, what they smell, what they touch, and how they feel. Remember your senses, that's how impressions are formed. We talked about the customer walk, and customers don't measure you on how hard you try, they measure you on how you deliver. You can recover from service breakdowns. And they're sometimes the most valuable teachable moment. You know, what was I not thinking? Let's talk about this and see how we could do it better or differently next time. Intangibles are things that they don't physically see or touch. And again, how do you make people feel when they come into your environment? That you have love and you have energy, you have compassion, you have courage, you have respect. And intangibles are definitely mood changers. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, empathy is the #1 job skill. And I'm not talking about healthcare, even though I've been in healthcare for 14 years. I was a patient experience coach. I did orientation for clinical and non-clinical people because I challenged the hospital when they first thought about hiring me. They said, Rita, you don't have any clinical experience. I said, no, I don't. But my goal will be to put the hospitality back in the hospital, because that's what people will remember. I went back to school, became a certified nursing assistant. So when I'm coaching the bedside caregiver, they knew I had gotten my hands dirty too. Meet people where they are and help them get to another level. Evaluate how you look, how you sound, and act when you're communicating. seen that so many times. It gets me every time. You don't know what happened to that person before they encounter you. Be positive. If you have to dig deep.
I had a visitor one time, she had came in and she was very emotional, and her husband had woke up the week before and went and got them coffee on the Sunday like he normally would. And when he got home, he told her, if anything ever happens to me, you know I'll always love you. They'd been married for years, and sitting in their recliners watching TV, he passed away right there. And that woman came to me in my gift shop, and she cried and she cried and she cried, and I couldn't help but feel what she was feeling through her emotions. And I ended up, she gave me her phone number, and we send mail back and forth, and we try to stay connected. I'm actually gonna go home and try to find her again. So it's
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. One point I want to make, well, besides this one, it's the most beautiful compensations of life that no person can sincerely try to help another without helping themselves. True or false?
very true.
Every time, especially when, and I do have a down day on occasion, it knocks on my door. And what can I do? I read a Crocker sometime. I bake stuff and give it away. I'll just bake something and take it to someone randomly, you know? Then I get over myself. Don't be so self-absorbed that you can't think about doing something for someone else, because there's so many people out there that are starving for a kind word or a kind gesture or one of my pecan pies. Just be reliable. When you're open, be open. Well done is better than well said. You'll never create a wow experience until you tap in your greatest resource, and that's your people. Too big to do it on your own. Take care of your people, and they will take care of your guest. While the customer, operate with urgency, work without mediocrity, make a positive wake, and pretend you own it. I own this. SOS, seize it, own it, and solve it. SOS. And never underestimate the value of fluff. Now, I'm not just talking about pillows. Let me leave you with this. When a visitor asks you something and you're not sure about the festival or what's coming next, be a resource. Take the time to get on the phone, call your area CVB, have a list of resources at your fingertips. Call right there in front of them and say, I'm not sure. Don't say, I don't know. I don't go there. Ma'am, sir, can you wait just a couple of minutes? Let me make a few phone calls and I will give it to you. If you're giving directions, use your highlighter. Highlight where they are and where they need to go. These are just little trivial things that make such a big impact on people. When you pay attention to detail, the big picture will take care of itself. As you leave here, and you're soon to leave here, and I hate it. I want y'all to stay. Remember, there's very little difference between one who does not know and one who does not use what one knows. Say that 3 times. And I want to say it's been a privilege and a pleasure. I like to use a line from the Ritz-Carlton. It's on a gold plate in most of their elevators. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And it has been a big privilege to serve all the ladies and the gentlemen in this class today. Thank you so very much for coming. Good. Yes.
And I don't know if y'all had a chance to meet her yet, but, so she's your go-to. So take care of her, teach her, get to know her, just like you always have. Y'all are thinking about y'all. We thank y'all so much for sharing, and y'all have a wonderful day.
Yes, I will be back.
Please. Turn this off. Any questions, I'll be glad to